Hello and welcome to another episode of Lids Off. I'm your host, Bo Snow. I'm joined today with a very special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself, Queen?
Yes, hello, my name is Zoe John. I play for Birmingham Lions and the GB Lions. Pronouns are she, her. And I think that was everything I needed to say, but maybe not.
Are you a woman of many positions, or
Yeah,
are you strictly D-line?
the other important question, yeah, so I play defensive line. As much as I would love to play a bit of fullback, I remain in the trenches. But yeah, I love it, so it's absolutely.
That is a terrifying thought of you as a fullback.
Just want to.
That'd be so efficient.
I did. I won't let anyone live it down because I played when I used to play for Cardiff Valkyries as my first team, and we had a season where I would go in as quarterback, get the ball, and just run because for some reason we had like a plethora of O line, which is unheard of. So in sevens we had like
Yeah.
10 O line. It was ridiculous. So I got some touchdowns. No one believes me. If you were there, you would have remembered. You would have remembered the time. Yeah.
Stats are stats, they don't lie.
That's a stat. Exactly. Yeah.
So, as we start every episode, how did football find you, Zoe?
So, my friend, Danny Leopard, she set up the Cardiff Valkyries, which was, well, still remains to be like Wales's only women's contact football team. And at that point, I was doing mixed martial arts. I was the only girl in the club, and it wasn't terrible, but like, I don't know, I didn't have the same types of friendships and stuff. And I hadn't done any sports growing up, hadn't done any team sports. As much as everyone thinks I've played rugby, did not play rugby until like 2 years ago.
That's unheard of for a Welsh person, though. That's quite unique.
We weren't allowed to play rugby. The girls
Oh, shit.
allowed to, like, there was nothing around. Like, there were hardly any clubs at the time anyway, because I grew up in Pembrokeshire, so there's not too much around those parts. And in school, you had to play obviously netball or hockey, and there was just no clubs, and it was just really looked down upon, and yeah, so then I just never did anything. I wasn't sporty at all until I came to Cardiff for uni. Then I joined the gym, joined Muay Thai mixed martial arts club, but I didn't have the best time there. Like I developed eating disorders trying to like get into a weight category, and I was with an abusive person at the time. So there's a lot of stuff going on in relation to sport and my body. But my friend Danny was like, "You like to hit people, don't you?" And I was like, "I mean, there's a bit more to it than that, Danny. There's a bit more to it." Yeah, why not? I like to hit people. And she said, "Well, I'm setting up an American football team." And I was like, "I don't know what that is. Never heard of it." But that in a way allowed a lot of us to just come together and just try and figure this stuff out. So we did flag football in our first year at Cardiff and then moved into contact. And I just absolutely loved it. Like I loved it. And for someone who really struggled with their weight and always felt like they were too big, even though ironically I was at my smallest, the coach was just like, "Oh, you look really strong. You look really powerful." And I was like, "Oh, okay, so maybe that's a good thing." So yeah, it just started from there. Gosh, when was that now? I think 2014. I can't even remember.
Shit.
The whole,
Wow.
the whole timeline's gone. Was it 2014? 2016, I think. So I think this will be like my 9th year of playing American football of some kind. So starting with flag, then going into contact. And it was just great. It was just really fun just getting together with a group of women and just feeling like I like belonged in something. And people like really looked forward to seeing me. And we would just go, obviously have lots of ice cream afterwards. That was our thing. Training, then go to a place called Coco Gelato. And it was just amazing. And then from there, I just gained a lot of confidence, primarily thanks to my coach at the time, Simon Browning. Just giving me confidence to, be a linebacker, and the things you need at linebacker obviously are communication, confidence, all those types of things. And it kind of helped me to give back that voice that was taken from me for some years because of unhealthy relationships and eating disorders, mental health. So I sort of became this person that I was probably always meant to be, but it was, chiseled away at me for a couple of years. Then I joined the American football team at the university, Cardiff Cobras, for a couple of years, and then got into or started to get into like the GB foundations in the 2019 Euros. Unfortunately, had to pull out because I had emergency surgery. Um, and I was a linebacker at the time. So it's still very different to what I am now. So it's been a bit of a different journey. And then obviously last year I joined the Birmingham Lions to get a bit more of that nine-a-side experience, special teams and things like that. So yeah, that's like a lot of years in a nutshell. So if you want to explore any more of that, just let me know. Yeah, it's been lots of different experiences, I think.
Yeah, that's quite extensive experience. But as someone that follows you on Instagram, I always love how open you are about your relationship with the gym and your relationship with strength. How has that journey been for you? Because that is quite a culture shift for you, going from not much at all to going to the gym, and kind of what are the complexities of that relationship at uni as well?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I'm obviously in a very privileged position in the fact that my fiance is a strength and conditioning coach. So I've learned a lot from him. And it was when I met him about, well, it'll be 7 years in November. So like 6 years ago, learning, it's not just about doing your one rep max every week. It's about building strength and doing your prehab, doing your rehab, doing your single leg stuff, and just making yourself an all round stronger athlete, I think physically and mentally. But certainly when I started going to the gym, even when I didn't know what I was doing, I think it was good for me to understand, like, look at what my body can do when, like, you're fueling yourself. Look at what your body can do when you give yourself these goals. And I think American football, I've said this a lot, it almost sounds like too cliche, but it definitely saved my life. And getting into the gym and becoming stronger. And, I've been a lot of different weights. I've had eating disorders at a lot of different weights and body weights and body compositions and things like that. Sometimes you wouldn't even know. But across all of those periods, like, I can't even explain how weak you feel. Like, you feel so weak and you're in pain all the time, like regardless of the type of eating disorder I had, there was so much pain to it. And I always would lose feelings in my hands. I would have heart palpitations and collapse, like at all these different types of weights as well. So it's not just the low weight stuff. It's when I was bigger and I had binge eating disorder and I had bulimia and all these things that people would never know about me. So getting into the gym and, you know, making myself have this strong foundation and knowing that I had to eat properly if I wanted to go to the gym. And again, knowing that I had to eat properly if I wanted to play an American football game. Like, it's not a game for the light-hearted, right?
Mm.
And and then learning, okay, so if I want to also not be injured afterwards, I also have to, look after myself in the gym and not just do the one rep maxes. As low as I love a deadlift one rep max, it's not the most productive in making yourself a stronger, faster athlete. So yeah, it's been a bit of a rocky journey in sport, because obviously getting into sport in the gym, I did that in a space where I didn't like myself. So I used the gym to punish me. And then after joining American football and getting into strength training, I came out the other end, and I see it as this really useful tool to help, to help recover and to help make me strong and recover in a lot of different ways, mentally and physically. So, but yeah, I'm definitely a very lucky woman to have a strength and conditioning coach who keeps me in check a lot, especially post games when the old mental health can be a looming cloud, I suppose. But shout out to TM performance coaching. Yeah, he's great.
So first of all, thank you for sharing that. That's, it's going to help quite a lot of people. You talking so openly about something like that. So if we talk about, you've previously mentioned that you'd not previously engaged in a team sport. Um, how hard or what were the challenges in kind of joining a team sport? Because joining a team sport when you don't like yourself, but you're trying to show up for people that you're forming bonds with while simultaneously not liking yourself. How hard was that for you?
I think because the sport was so new and because I always wanted to learn, I think it actually helped me just forget about all the other stuff that was sort of on my shoulders at the time. There would be when I was in my darker period. So, for context, I had lost a friend to suicide and lost three grandparents all within a year and a half. It was really intense, and
Jesus.
there were some training sessions where I couldn't do anything, but I was there, and the coach and the players would be like, "Look, you're here, and that's the most important thing. Like, do what you can." And they were just so supportive, and they really helped me get through that dark time. And I think it's knowing if you have someone that's struggling at a club, it's knowing how to react to that, and people are going to react in different ways. And I'm just lucky that that was the best approach for me. They were really understanding. But I think it was just because I really just wanted to understand and I wanted to, you know, learn defensive things. And I mean, it is just, I just like hitting people. It is quite fun. My friend was like, but I think 'cause I was also so driven to get into GB, like, that was my thing. Like that was my goal that I had on the pedestal to be like, you've got to get through this time because you've got this coming up and you've got this coming up. And um, yeah, I think it can be quite daunting for anyone to join a new club, like especially if you don't know what the culture's like. You might have anxiety traveling and you might have to go on the train. Like there's all of those different sorts of things. But I've been really lucky. Like even now with Birmingham, it's a much bigger team. It's a really established team, and it's like a home away from home. And it feels like I'm still part of that really like initial culture of just fun, acceptance, and yeah. Even though it's technically in a different country, I just still feel like I'm at home there. Um, so yeah, I don't have the accent. Don't have the accent for Wales actually, even though I lived here my whole life. But yeah, it's I think if you find yourself a good club and you find yourself a good culture, it comes quite naturally. I think to want to go back there again, like you should have players and coaches, checking in on you. It's like if you have a rookie day, right? You've got committee members or people that naturally relate to people going, "Oh, did you enjoy yourself? Do you have any questions?" And all those things can really make a difference, I think. But you never know unless you go. You never know how you're going to react unless you go. And I think it's just getting over that hurdle and, getting yourself in that space as the first step and seeing how you get from there.
That's amazing. So what I know you've said that you just enjoy hitting people, but I also know that you are someone that strives to kind of, well, I perceive you to be someone that strives for information and knowledge.
Mm.
What was it about American football that kind of had you hooked from the get-go?
Yeah, I think, obviously I play D line now, but I was a linebacker, Mike linebacker. And I think for me, it was that role helped me to help other people. And I'm helping to tell them where to go, what the strength is. I was captain for the Valkyries for quite some time as well, so that was a privilege in and of itself. But I think it was the orchestrating. I think it was just something that came really naturally, and just I don't know, there's just something so exciting about shouting and demanding and moving people and like seeing it all come together, that I just really enjoyed. So yeah, it's certainly not just the physical impact. I think it was just the like I liked maybe being able to be a leader because I hadn't had the opportunity before. And I mean, people that know me know I'm a little golden retriever, chaotic, ADHD, undiagnosed girly. So it might be that as well, having that, ability to just let loose, whether like verbally or physically. And yeah, I just really enjoyed it. And our coach was really big on trying to get us to understand the philosophy of why we're doing things. So not just saying, okay, these are the rules. If there's a running back, then we're going to call the strength away from the running back. It would be, right, do we understand what the O-line are trying to do for this running back? Do we understand what receivers are trying to do? And I think that's also why I want to understand more, because he set that precedent very early on. And it also helps, I know people say a lot with women's teams that why the why
Mm.
section happens. So maybe he was preempting that. But yeah, it's just been something I've found really valuable going forward at all stages, is just trying to understand both sides of the ball to just understand the bigger picture. Now, I don't always understand everything, but I try. Um, yeah, I think it just makes you, or can make you, a better player, having a bit more of an understanding. It's like with, if you play D line, right? You should be trying to understand what the linebackers are doing behind you, so you know the consequences of if you miss your gap, which I sometimes still do by accident. But yeah, it's just fun. It's just fun trying to understand all these different chess pieces being put together.
It's amazing. So you briefly mentioned about GB Foundation program, because I imagine the GB program looks quite different to when you first started. What planted the seed? What made you want to go for it?
I think after our first contact season at Valkyries, and this was back when we were five-a-side now, so it is going back some time. I think I was, all the teams would nominate their MVP, and it was mostly like quarterbacks, running backs. And then I think I was like the only linebacker in that cohort when we had like the cross conference. And then I was like, oh, I'm actually quite good at what I do. I don't know. So, and then my coach was like, yeah, like, you're good. You're doing really good. You're doing really good at this stuff. And around that time, maybe a year later, the GB squad at the time were doing Worlds in Canada, and all the teams would be like doing incentives to help get people to have awareness. And I think we were walking a certain amount of steps to raise funds and raise awareness of how far they traveled to get to Canada. And I was just like, wow. Like, I was like, wow, there's a GBT. And you'd have people doing like YouTube videos, and they would be sharing what they've been doing, and I was just completely like celebrity gobsmacked. Like, I was like, wow. Like, that was the one word I could think of, and I was like, wow, it'd be really cool. It'd be really cool if I could like get there. And then Diamond Series at the time, for those young people that don't know what Diamond Series is, my grey hair showing. Um, so bringing together all the women's teams across the UK and splitting them into, it was North, Midlands, and South when I did it. So Midlands massive. Can't remember the actual team. Heartland Shock, that was it. With very questionable jersey designs for anyone who remembers.
Were those the digital camo
Yeah,
ones, or?
yeah, it was. Um, but it was that was, I suppose, like an open trial for the GB squad. So based on your performance in those games, they would invite you to come along to the GB squads. Um, and I was linebacker at the time, and I felt completely out of my depth. Like, I hated going. Like, this is what I mean. It's been a really big journey. So I was like, right, I finally got this thing. Finally got into like GB training squad. But obviously the depth of knowledge is so different when you first get into a program compared to what you're at several years down the line. And that's very natural, right? You come from a five-a-side team, seven-a-side team, then you go into 11-a-side. You're looking at the amount of people, and I felt like I had gone from a big fish in a little pond to tiny fish in a mass of sea. But I think that's natural. And yeah, it was all a bit of sweet that by the time I felt like, no, actually, no, I do belong here. Then I had to have emergency surgery for, it was like inflamed kidneys and cysts and all the other awful things.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was really just like, oh crap. And then COVID hit, and then I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be in the GB squad again. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. But then they opened up the trials and I went, and then I felt a bit more confident in myself. But then was asked to trial as a D line instead. So we had the 2 sessions, 3 sessions. I got my letter and it said, we want to invite you to trial again as D line. And I was like, okay, haven't played D line in a while, but we'll see. And that was leading into the 2022 World Championships. And then I ended up getting in. So yeah, it's just, and I feel obviously very at home now. The squad obviously has changed. People have come, people have gone. But I think that's why, you know, a lot of the girls that are there now, who are the rookies in the 2019 Euros, obviously we all remember what it's like to come and be completely new. And you know, just making sure that everyone's settling in, everyone's doing their homework, and everyone better be doing their homework if anyone's watching. But you know, getting to know the playbook, you know, inside and out, all those different things. So yeah, it's just been a weird journey that it's quite scary that I'm now a veteran player. I think I'm one of 5 defensive players now that have been there for a few years, and I'm like, no, I'm still a baby. I'm still a baby. I'm still finding my way. But yeah, it's been a bit of a whirlwind journey, I think. But and I realised I just talked a lot at you then, mate. So
Oh no, no, this is beautiful. What helped during that time of I don't belong here, kind of during this Diamond series?
yeah, I mean, the Diamond series I loved. Like, I loved the actual Diamond series, and I was one of the captains, and I was like, oh my god, this is cool. But I think, you know, you get to a GB camp, and then it's like, oh, like it was obviously still fun, but it's like, oh, we're actually going in to compete, and and then it was just like you look at all the people around you that have been to like the worlds before, and you're like, oh my god, that's Rachel Moody, that's Bo Stewart, yeah, these are all the people. And then you want to obviously look good and do your best. And even though everyone makes mistakes, I think when you're so new and you make a mistake, you literally think, oh my God, that's it, I'm out. That's it, I'm out of it now. And then it's like this spiraling effect. And yeah, it's not always good for the noggin. But you know, you also have a much more complicated playbook. Um,
Mm.
and all of those different things. But what helped me actually realise, no, I do belong here. We had a team meeting. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Amy Cottingham, might have been Bo. I don't know. But it was sort of a, you know, you all belong in this program. Like, stop worrying. You belong in the program. Because we were thinking about also how to like fundraise for the team going forward. And yeah, and I just remember in that meeting, I can't remember exactly what words were said, but I remember going, yeah, I do. Yeah, okay, I belong here. I'm going to make myself feel like I belong here. And then it was literally like the week or two later, yeah, it was like emergency laparoscopic surgery. So it was just like, it was a lot of moving around the core, and I had to learn how to like sit up again, and it was just really rubbish. Um, but yeah, I think that was a moment, you know, having someone tell you that you you know you all belong here. There's a reason, like you were selected based on like everyone has the potential in this room, and I was like, okay, yeah, cool. And then I had to have surgery, but who knows? Like, you know, I do think sometimes like my little journey, as up and down as it has been, like if I got selected, would I not be D-line now? Would the Sharks exist? I don't know. But yeah, I love where I'm at now. So I think that's the important thing for me.
Touching on what you said though, who would you say have been some, and I know it's kind of hard to single it down, but like who have been some of your biggest influences along your football journey?
I think like the first person I'm thinking of right now is Big Boy, Vicky Ware. Like that woman is an absolute angel, but also on the field, she's absolutely terrifying. And I think, you know, she had come from a small team like me as well. There weren't many of her team on the squad. Like, that's the other thing, right? I was the only person. No, actually, Ruth Lewis is there as well from Cardiff, but two girls from Cardiff. Majority were probably, can't remember at the time, probably Birmingham Lions, probably some London, probably some Teesside. Can't remember off the top of my head now, but it's really hard coming from a small team when you don't know
Mm.
anyone. Like, just naturally, you don't really know that many people. So yeah, she obviously came from a smaller team, and I think she's just such a genuinely great person, and it also showed me that you can be a nice person and a hard player at the same time, and I think that's really important. um you can bring people together, you can help drive each other, on the field but also off the field as well, and like help bring people together. But she's just a great, she's a phenomenal player. So I've always looked up to her. And she's always been there for me if I need a chat or a chin wag. And yeah, there's probably some others as well, but I think the first person is Big Boy that pops into my head. So yeah, she's just wonderful.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, what was that like? What were the biggest mental challenges for you coming back from that surgery? Because I know you said that you kind of initially thought, well, I'm never going to go back to GB again. I might have lost my spot. What was that like for you?
Yeah, oh mate, the first 6 months were really hard. So I had my surgery, I think it was in April time. Yeah, it was at Easter holiday. I missed a beef Wellington. I was really annoyed.
I love that you remember that.
Oh well, I missed a beef Wellington. My partner's parents were making a beef Wellington, and then we were gonna do a little Easter egg hunt, and I just collapsed in the bathroom instead and had to go to hospital from pain. Yeah, it was literally like so random. But I remember the whole day, and I remember being so upset about missing that food. Maybe I was obviously meant to be a lineman after all. Um, but yeah, so I just physically, I was just in bed and had to be brought food. I had to be like my partner's amazing. He had to help wash me for weeks just because of how physically week I was, because they literally just go through all your core. Like I had no core. Like
He was.
it was really scary. And like later that year I was meant to play, so I played Aussie rules football as well, for Wales. I haven't, for a few years now, but at that time we had our European Cup later in the year, and I was like, not gonna be able to play for Wales. Um but it was a lot of slow rehab. But again, this is why I say I'm just so lucky to have him, because if I didn't, I would probably think, oh, I shouldn't do anything at all in the gym. Like that's me done. But he was like, no, you need to strengthen up your core. So eventually, through the small types of exercises and like learning what are my limits, and just mostly a lot of walking, but like dead bugs, all this sort of cool stuff. I managed to play the European Championship, like I think it was like 5 months later. Like it was like
Holy shit.
bit towards the end, because obviously you've got scar tissue and stuff, but like the fact that I was able to do that is such a testament, I think. But yeah, but it's one thing to play Aussie rules, and then another thing to think later down the line American football, because the contact's different. It's Aussie rules is a lot of running, bloody cardio. But the tackling is very different. So you could tackle basically just like holding someone's shirt, and if they don't get rid of the ball in a certain amount of time, that's a tackle. Um, Obviously, American football very different. And you always have a lot more people hitting into you in American football as well. So I was a bit unsure. But it's just been slow, steady consistency. And then yeah, I can't remember exactly how I felt going back to GB. I think obviously nervous, but I also knew a lot more people than I did when I went originally. So it was you just feel a bit more at home when you know people. So yeah, I just tried to get stuck in. I tried to do more things like even if I was wrong, eventually, if you know, I wasn't sure of the answer, I would always try to say an answer, and I would try to make myself be seen a bit more, because I think I just like went into a bit of a shell in the 2019 Euros, and like it's what I say to people now. Like if you mess it up 100%. Like you might call the strength wrong. If everyone's wrong, everyone's right, and you'll learn from it. And I've tried to hold that kind of belief to myself as I've continued in the program, because like now I'm not scared of being wrong. Sometimes I'm very wrong, and the coaches are like, "No." I'm like, "Okay," but I know, I've learned from that experience, and if you don't ask, you will never know. And the worst thing you can do as a player, especially on that program, is just be silent and not be worried about making mistakes. Like people in the NFL make mistakes. Like people make mistakes all the time. If they didn't, it would probably be very boring, because they would either get all the touchdowns or no touchdowns at all. So yeah, that's something I try to reiterate to myself and other people as well. Like, don't be worried about being wrong. Like, the worst thing you can do is be quiet, for lots of different reasons, because you'll never learn. You'll never learn by just, you know, becoming like invisible, I suppose. But yeah.
Cool. So, I mean, sidestepping similar kind of. You talked about playing the Euros. What is Zoe's? What are you like on game day? And this could be international. This could be domestic. Kind of, what's game day look like for you?
Hmm. So this is a very interesting one, where I think the mental health side of it, and the what football means to me now compared to what it did, it changes a little bit. So like, what in my early years, I was just like, yay, football! I love football. And now I still love football, but I think, as many athletes do, I think I hold myself to such what's it, like, unreachable, unattainable standard, if you get what I mean. And I think, I don't know why, like even when I was young, I never had pressure from parents. I never had this, that, or the other, but I always feel like in many cases that I'm not good enough. And it takes me a few days after game day to like resettle and be like, no, you just got, for some reason, a really warped sense of like expectation for some reason. And it might be because, I spent many years trying to prove my self-worth to myself and other people. But yeah, like sometimes game day I'm really excited, and then like sometimes, like if I've got work the day before, I'm just too exhausted. Like for the last Euros game, um, so I'm a university lecturer, and my one of my administrative roles is working the university clearing. So I lead the clearing for my department. So when students don't get what they want, they ring the phone lines. It's like a week operation. It's like a call center. Um, and I had left work Friday, like at 4, got to the stadium. Everyone had already trained. I missed the training because I couldn't get it off. Played, got a silver medal the next day, then literally left as soon as the game was done to go back to work on the Sunday. Like it was just really intense, and I was
Oh my god.
I felt like I was in a complete out of body experience the whole game. Like, and that's the first time it happened. I was a bit like, I was in the shield on punt. I forgot to call something twice. I didn't go on the field for the field goal. Sorry, Ruth. I know she was. I could see her angrily pointing on the footage. I was like, Gaff, Gaff, I'm really sorry. It's like, okay. But like, all I'm just so exhausted. All I wanted to do was cry, and I think it was just such a long European campaign. It was like 2 years, 4 different games. I was just like, I think I just want this to be over. Like, I'm exhausted. But then I think, like, taking steps back, and you go like, some people would kill to be there. And I think I'm really trying to just enjoy football for the love of football again, this time round. And I think, I'm helping myself to do that in a few different ways, like trying to, get the D line click to, we're a really good click. We're a really good, positional group. And I just, I think I rely on them more than they know to, remind myself this should be about, having fun as well. Because if we don't enjoy it, we should not be doing it. And, that's not saying we don't know our jobs and we don't bring it. But I think it's just the enjoyment of like hitting someone, the enjoyment of seeing your friends do well. I think that's what I'm going to focus on. So yeah, I think before games I can be really up and I can really enjoy it in the moment. After the game is where I'm like, oh, I'm a big pile of poo. And it's just I just know that's for some reason my natural process. And then a couple of days after I'm like, okay, no, maybe you did better than you thought. But I think that's quite normal though, in a weird way. Um I mean, people can let me know if this is normal or not. I think it might be because of the GB expectations and things like that. Maybe I'm being too hard on myself, which I probably am. I think I am, but
No, I was going to ask that. I was going to say, is it because you have reached that level that there's this perceived expectation that you're going to be perfect every game? Is it one of those things?
yeah, I think so. I think like yeah, I think like I just want to be the best at what I can be. Like I want to be my version of my best, and unfortunately, again, no one's perfect. Like but I'm very hard on myself. And I know, obviously I've talked quite a lot about my like personal traumas and personal experiences. And I do remember my counselor saying, you don't treat yourself with the basic humanity that you give other people. And
Oof.
I think it's like, obviously not as extreme because, we're talking about a game, but like, I think it's that kind of stuff. And I say to myself, right, you're thinking these things. Would you say that to your younger self? That's my first check. Like, would you say this to like little Zoe, who's like got a little awful haircut and is like in the little chef's outfit? For anyone who's seen the little Instagram photo of me in the chef outfit. And then would you say that to other people on your team? Like how I think about myself. And that can, yeah, help me go, okay, yeah, maybe that's not a rational thought. And, maybe I can place that to the side and I just try to ride the wave that I get, the emotional wave after a game. And then a couple of days later, I'm like, oh, I do like myself. It's honestly, it's a wild ride. It can be in my brain, but yeah, is also what teammates are for as well. Just like,
Yeah, I was going to ask what helps with the decompression and the processing after a game.
yeah, I think just chatting to mates. Like, Tom, obviously, he can sometimes just have the first face of it when I come home and I'm just like, I don't want to eat anything because I don't deserve to eat. And then I go, okay, I will because that's very awful and this pizza looks very nice. I don't know why I did that voice then, but so so yeah, he's obviously like a massive support for me. But then just chatting, just in a WhatsApp group or individually or on Instagram, like I find that stuff really helpful. Just I think everyone or a lot of people feel quite similar. And then you go, no, you had a great game. What are you talking about? And it's just nice to just remind yourself and remind other people what they've done well. And yeah, it's a really good decompression. I think just having a laugh and chatting afterwards.
That's amazing. You touched on it briefly, but kind of you how you mentioned about your relationship with food after a game. How have you managed that pre-prep? Because it is, half the battle is nutrition, making sure you've got fuel in your body. Like, how do you never navigate that, particularly even when you've got a stressful game or a contentious game, or is it all the same?
So like pre-game and during the game, I don't have those thoughts at all. Like it's like I've got my kind of routine. I know it works well for me because I am a intolerant girly, even though I love to eat the things that make me hurt. So like I'll try to find my like, you know, gluten-free granola and yogurt and like that kind of stuff. So before game, I'm fine. Generally in the weeks, I'm fine. It's just that for me, which is why, recovery is always a process as well with eating disorders. Because if I know I've had a great game, I don't have it. If I think I haven't had a great game, that's when it's like you don't just. It's like having this bully like in your ear, like you don't deserve to eat anything, like you don't deserve to have this. If you don't eat now, you'll be lighter tomorrow, and you'll be better. And like all those, like I know they're completely irrational, but it just feels really horrible to like just be in that moment. So yeah, it can come at different points as well. So like after the game, I'll just generally be eating fine. It's like as I think as the adrenaline goes off throughout the day and then it gets into the evening, then the little like poisonous parrot starts to come out. But I
Solid CBT term. Solid. I like
yeah,
that.
and I think it's just trying to, you know, it's again riding the wave. Just okay, you've got these voices. Even if they can't go away, you can just sit with them and eat anyway and try to enjoy the food, and then it eventually settles down. It's just I forget just how intense they can be, which and I think it can be just really exhausting. It's just exhausting sometimes, and it can be really frustrating when you know you realize how far you've come, and then you have these moments, and you're like, "Oh, this is really annoying," and like other people aren't having this, and that's not fair. And like,
Mm.
you can have an eating disorder in any type of body, and like I'm 100 kilos, and I still have those thoughts, and I think not that everyone needs to know this is exactly what I'm going through, but like it's not always great. Like I'm obviously really, you know, big personality, big person, but like there are really big moments of struggle where like intrusive thoughts are just really significant, not just with eating, but with like other types of behaviors that could potentially be triggering to mention on the podcast. But like those are things that I do have to sit with when I have those moments. And I think, if anyone else is going through that, it's knowing also that you're not alone, and like you're not some kind of weird person for having it is unfortunately normal if we're thinking about the amount of people experiencing these types of thoughts in the UK. And I think that's where, having someone that you can chat to, or having your mates that even if you take the mick at yourself or each other, like just sharing it. I think it's that difference of being around everyone and then not being around everyone. And then you can sort of be alone with your thoughts a little bit. I don't know. We're getting quite psychoanalytical in this. Very interesting. If anyone's on the pod listening on the podcast and have thoughts, love to hear it. But yeah, it's
It is football therapy.
just
But is there anything that clubs can do to be more accessible, or for people that might have disordered eating or kind of have triggers around that potentially?
yeah. I mean, it can be hard to know as well because obviously sometimes you just don't know. Like sometimes you just don't
Hmm.
know. So I think a big like an important thing is just generally having open conversations, or like even if it's not a conversation with the club, posting stuff on social media if it's eating disorder awareness week, just saying these are the types of things that you might experience. Or you've got lots of different days in the year or periods in the year, like World Mental Health Day, Mental Health Week. Just sort of, you know you could host a little online Zoom call and see how everyone's getting on. Or like the eating disorder charity beat that I volunteer with, you can have people volunteer and like talk about it. So if any teams out there want someone to come talk, I'm happy to do that in a volunteering capacity. And just I think just getting more people to know the different types of eating disorders, because like a lot of people know about typical anorexia because can be a very materialized in a very physical way. But you know, I had binge eating disorder as well, and only realized that it was an eating disorder a couple of years ago. So like, it's
Really?
people
Wow.
always learning, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with learning, and people don't have to have all the answers. Like coaches, players, and committees don't have to know all the answers for these sorts of things. There are people out there that it's their job, it's their passion, and there's lots of complexities. You know, I don't know about every single type of eating disorder, but like, I think it's just giving a platform so people can go, okay, that's interesting, that resonates with me, maybe I'll have a chat. And I think this is a wider issue, not necessarily issue, a wider topic of, you know, being approachable as coaches, as teams, as committees. So people go, I'm really struggling and I don't know what to do. Oh, they've said they they're happy to, you know, signpost us if we have an issue. You know, just open and accessible, just in personality. I think, and club culture. I think that's what I'm getting at. I think club culture can be quite important in this kind of stuff.
What makes a good club culture for you? Because you have an experience of going in for, well, three different teams, four different teams, including your uni one.
Yeah.
Kind of what have been the best nuggets of culture from those?
Yeah, I think inclusivity, and not necessarily in the way that some people think of, but like just talk it. Like there were some sessions in the uni club where like if my like normal friends went there, like no one would ask, no one would talk to me. And it's not like a malicious thing. But like if you've got someone who's like the only woman on the team, like just like oh hi mate, how you doing? That like means a lot. Um so
Mm.
you know, obviously in the women's teams that's been very different, but maybe in the bigger women's teams, maybe in different cohorts, just like making sure you go, oh hi mate, you're right. Just even if you don't know the person, if they're a new player, you know, I think that's so valuable, like especially on rookie days. So it's not happened in the American football teams, but I went to trial at the uni rugby team. Um and it was a rookie day, and the veteran players were like passing the ball around in the middle of the pitch, and like the rookies were arriving, and I was quite confident at that point, so I was just hanging around. But there were a few girls that were like genuinely seemed really timid, and like the veterans were just over there. And I was like, all right, I'm going to introduce myself to this girl that's clearly very scared. And yeah, it was just baffling. But they were not very nice. Yeah, so I think just chatting, just being open, just being approachable, and yeah, I think that's just a really important thing. Just making sure you just treat people like people. I don't think it's very formal. But but yeah, I think that's the main thing. That's what makes me feel at home enough to then want to come back, or to, you know, ask questions or explore issues that I've got. It's that, you know, just niceness about things, isn't it?
No, I completely agree.
Yeah.
So if we move to kind of your career, uh, what would you say has been some of your proudest moments of
Or
football?
obviously getting my PhD, because that was traumatic. Yeah, getting my PhD, finishing the bloody thing, was huge. So for context, the research itself was very traumatic. So like I did an observation of a mixed martial arts club. I did MMA before, so I did like a flexible role. I was going to train in the MMA club, writing what people are doing, how people are doing it, understanding the culture of the club essentially. And it was meant to be relatively straightforward. Um, and the coach just was just a horrible man. And he had this like really like dark sense of humor, and um, I didn't really question anything that was happening at the time. And then my supervisors were like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "What do you mean? He does this with everyone." And he was just basically sexually harassing me the entire time. Um, and but like it's when that like humor is just glossed over, and like people were laughing, so I thought, okay, I should find this funny then. And then it was just a lot of difficult moments to make sense of, when like you're forced to be part of the types of data in the ways that you didn't expect, and how to make sense of that analytically. And then it was in COVID after, like the write up was in COVID. So I didn't know if I was going to ever finish my PhD, but I did. So I think I'm really proud of that. And then um, I think like the milestones of like getting my first publication and realizing, okay, people actually want to hear what I've got to say, and getting some of that story out into the open. Because the reviewers said, maybe you should not publish, and they wanted police involvement based on the things that happened there. And it was really messy. I didn't know what to do, but I thought I'll get publications instead. So yeah, and I think it was a almost like vulnerability trauma to recover from, and I feel like I've been able to do that now. And so the publications and the PhD were like massive for me. And then yeah, I don't know. I think it's I'm a very bad academic, or maybe a normal academic, where I think everything I do is rubbish. And again, I think that's a very like academic, or at least women in academia. Um, yeah, because it's just like a constant. You have to just be constantly achieving in this kind of role. Like you just have to be constantly publishing, constantly doing well in student feedback, constantly doing this. And yeah, it can just feel a lot. So I think it's little nuggets of happiness as well. Like when a student writes a really lovely email and say like I've really helped them to understand how to get better. And like I think those things are massive. Like those things are massive when you've seen how you actually help someone get better. Because like you can have people in this job that they publish loads, but they're like awful with students. They don't know how to engage with students, um and that's because we're not trained as teachers. That's the thing. We're trained as research experts. So yeah, it's an interesting one. Sorry, I'm babbling, but yeah,
No, you're not babbling
my
at all. You're not babbling at all.
my first publication, my first article published, because it's peer reviewed and that's important. And then yeah, little nuggets when students say thank you. That's really nice, those parts.
Have you got any new studies going on, or
Well, I've got 3 to 4. So I
shit?
Yeah. I've got my gendered experiences in American football study. Just wanting to hear people's different experiences about training, games, coaching, refereeing, volunteering, just getting a general scope, because gendered experiences in sport is kind of like my expertise. So that's one. Then I have a service evaluation into people's lived experiences of the Mental Health Act in the Vale of Glamorgan. So that's a really important one. That's coming to a close. Then I've got an analysis of young people's experiences of mental health services in Wales and seeing where we're at. Um, and then the final one, I'm part of an international collaboration on women's safety while running, and people who identify as women and female presenting, and their experiences of safety while running. So that's going to be quite big. So that's what I've had to focus on due to deadlines over the last couple of weeks, is getting things in place, because you've got people from 18 locations across the world. It's like really big, like Portugal, Africa, Canada, Spain, Swansea, Wales. So yeah, I think that'll be a big project. So we'll do like walking interviews with people. So we'll walk on their running route, and I'll interview them on their running route. And yeah, so I'm a bit of a busy bee. Uh,
Yeah, just a bit.
yeah, and I think which I love, but these types of topics are always, well, depending on what happens, can be quite hard to navigate emotionally as well. Like obviously women's safety while running being a good example. People's experiences of being detained, are not necessarily having things done where they should be done. You've got quite a lot to explore. But yeah, it's fascinating. It's what I love doing at the same time. So yeah, we'll see what happens over the next couple of months, weeks. Need to get marking done first though.
So the gendered experiences in American football, is that still open? Is there a specific demographic that you welcome, or?
Yeah, it's still open. Anyone and everyone. I'm not um, you know, looking for anything in particular. I'm just interested in stories, and lived experience, and then how to, analytically understand all of this when I piece it all together. So, yeah, anyone can participate regardless of, gender identity or experience. And had a lot of contact. So if anyone's playing flag or wants to participate, that's absolutely, welcome. And this will be a project that will be sort of ongoing, over the next year or two. As our brief conversation has highlighted, there's a lot of different things to manage. So it'll be like sporadic periods of interview and a break, and interview and a break. But yeah, like open to basically anyone who has played in the UK, and there's no sort of um time limit on, even if you participate for a couple of months and you want to have a chat about it, like it's really open. But yeah, I think
And
what 20.
how do they get in touch with you?
So you can give me an email, z.e.john@swansea.ac.uk. Or there's my Instagram page, the GAF Project, GAAF, that you can send a DM to, and we can have a little chat. But it's more like conversations with a purpose. That's what I try to frame all my interviews as. It's going to be really informal. We'll just have a chat about things that you've experienced. And I'm not sure when the actual final analysis will happen. But yeah, there's a good like 25 interviews so far. I'll have to draw a lid on it at some point. I'll have to draw a cap on it at some point, because that's is a lot of data. They're all about 1 to 1.5 hours each, so it's a lot of
Oh my God.
to sift through. But I imagine there'll be like another stage the route to the research. So I'll probably draw a cap at some point on interviews, do the analysis, see what people are saying, and then maybe do like another thing in a year's time, maybe some working groups or something. It's quite open, but it is also dependent on how much I can get done on these other projects as well. So yeah, but I will be busy. I'm a busy girl. But please do
Yeah, you are.
feedback to me.
Amazing. So what are the next plans? Have you got any goals this year, football wise or gym wise, life wise?
Yeah, I think I'm trying to be a good girl, and I'm trying to do more cardio in the gym. So I'm just trying to hold myself account to these little cardio bits. Just do at the end. I just want to be a bit fitter. Um, Strength and conditioning. I'll probably do less of the conditioning. Just strength, less conditioning. And I'm captain for Birmingham again this year, which is like a huge thing. So I think just, have a positive season, and that's not necessarily in relation to wins, but like just a positive for me and for the defense, and getting people to grow and making people feel happy with what they've accomplished. Obviously winning games would be also lovely. um, and then GB wise, I would love to start. That's my goal. Um, which is probably more of an ego thing than anything else. But I would just love to say that I've started for GB. But yeah, I think there's some really good things to look forward to this year. Um, Especially if I keep doing my running.
To be fair, I think the fact that that one that you posted yesterday on your Instagram, the pull up
Uh,
at 25 kg, that is witchcraft. Very proud of you for that.
Thank you. I
Honestly.
wait till I try to do it just with a band and without the actual assistant part. But yeah, I think I've been doing it for a couple of weeks, and I'm just trying to like do those notches every now and then. But yeah, so the girl math, I'm just like, I'm 100 kilos. That's like 27.5. So technically, if I was 70 kilos, I could do a pull up. That's how my brain works out. But I'm not. But we'll keep moving. I'll keep moving. Keep trying to improve the D line, the GBD line are in our little group showing what we're doing to try and get these pull ups done. So yeah, we egg each other on, which is good.
That's amazing. So have you got any leaving thoughts for your adoring fans of many, many, many up and down the country?
Whoa. I think there's always value in just being yourself. In
Oof.
um
That needs going on a t-shirt. That's beautiful.
yeah, and I think I spent a long time trying to think how to be like other people and worried about you know being myself. And I think being myself, even though I struggle afterwards sometimes with the old noggin, I think that's what's helped me to do well, like playing wise, and you know, um, having been captain across a few different teams and a few different sports, and like I think there's always value in being yourself, and just putting yourself forward, and also the fact that the worst someone can say is say no. So like, you know, if you want to ask a coach something, they can say no, or you can be wrong and you can learn from it. And there's nothing wrong with learning. So yeah, that's like a few different fortune cookie cracker notes, sounding pieces of advice. But yeah, I think that's what I would say.
Amazing. I would like to say, first and foremost, personally, both times that I've been to GB, you have just been an absolute angel. So thank you very much. You're just a joy to talk to and to be around. So thank you for that. But also as someone that has mental health struggles and kind of, I see how powerful it is that you're opening up about these experiences to help people, but I also see how raw that can feel sometimes. And I'm just really proud of you and grateful that you are using something that is quite raw to help people. So thank you very much for that. And thank you for how open you've been on the channel about it. So thank you. You're amazing.
Thank you. Oh, don't you're gonna make me blush, mate. Cheers.
What is compliments? Oh
Yeah.
no.
No.
Uh,
No, that does mean a lot. It really does, and I'm glad because I think a lot of us we spend too much time feeling alone when so much of us are going through the same thing, and football or work or whatever. I think there's real value in like figuring out who we are and where we're at with each other, and part of that is just sometimes being open and trying to challenge that stigma about the things we feel. So yeah, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
You're amazing. And with that in two, we will tune off. So I've been Bo Snow.
I've been Zoe John.
And this has been Lids Off. Bye.